Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.
It's 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock right here in beautiful Nevis, and therefore it means that it's time for On the Mark. We're here every Wednesday at 8, from 8 to 10 for 2 hours of talk radio, uninterrupted by commercials. We have kept it that way for the past several years, and the idea really is that we allow maximum time for conversation and for us, you and I, to engage in dialogue. Tonight we don't have any guests, and so unfortunately you're stuck with me. I'm your host, Mark Brantley, and I say welcome to another edition of On the Mark. Good evening to all the people of Nevis, the people of St. Kitts, the people of the wider Caribbean. I know many are tuned in this evening. Good evening to our friends and family in the United States, those in Canada, those in the United Kingdom, and wherever you are. If you're as far away as Taiwan, good evening to you and welcome to On the Mark. It is a beautiful night here in Nevis. We recognize that our friends and family in the United States are under some stress. We see hurricanes or storms that are hitting Florida now and look like they might be headed to Texas and New Orleans and places such as those. For our people there, and certainly for all the people there, we express our prayers and our best wishes that you can get through this safely. For those who are in the West Coast in California, we see the wildfires there, and again we express our fervent prayers for you, for your safety, the safety of your families, your properties. It is a difficult time. We are well aware it is a difficult time for all of us globally impacted by COVID-19. It is a very difficult time here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis and in the island of Nevis. I can tell you that some difficult days lie ahead. We have been trying our very best to manage very, very limited resources. Our revenue is down dramatically, and we have been trying to do the best we can, working with our bankers to see how best we can keep the ship afloat. Certainly, as we now look forward to the borders reopening in October, that will be an important step to seeking to restore some economic activity on the island of Nevis and to ensure that our hundreds, if not thousands of people who work in the hospitality sector who are currently laid off, that they may be able to find meaningful work again. We have continued, nevertheless, on the island of Nevis to seek to do things new and innovative. We have granted some amazing concessions for construction, and I'm very happy to see that the construction sector has been responding. We have quite a lot of home construction that is happening on the island, and we say thanks to those who would have taken the initiative at this stage to construct a home or to do renovations or even to construct a second or third home, as the case may be. We have offered considerable concessions for commercial construction, for home and residential construction, and the idea really is to stimulate that construction industry, and I dare say they have been responding very well, and we hope that the banks continue to be good partners and to lend the necessary resources so that our people can continue to construct homes. We know Nevisians are landowners, and so they own land. It's just a question really of them being able to get the financing to construct their homes, and so we look forward to that. We are also very pleased with the response from the agriculture sector. Our farmers have really grasped with both hands all the concessions that we have given. And just to recap for the people of Nevis, as a response to COVID, this government said very early, way back in March, that food security had now to be a priority. And we skewed our concessions heavily towards farming and food security. No government in our region has been able to offer free fencing wire to our farmers, free fertilizer to our farmers, free plowing and land preparation to our farmers. We have waived water bills, water fees for our farmers for 6 months. We have even gone so far as to provide free labor to assist farmers in terms of reaping or planting, as the case may be. We have really gone way out there to assist. For animal farmers, we have provided feed for free. We have provided reduced rates at our abattoir to assist them. And we have, to our fisher folk, offered rolls of fish pot wire for free and heavily discounted second rolls, I think 50%. So our fishers, our crop farmers, our animal farmers, we have tried our very best to build an incentive package to benefit them all. And I'm very proud to say, particularly in terms of crops, that people are responding in a way that I've never seen in Nevis. We really have a renaissance in agriculture happening here, and it shows that where policy is directed in a laser-like way, that good results can come from that. And so we are very happy about that, and we continue to press agriculture, because we feel that we ought no longer to be wholly dependent on the boats that come from Dominica, and we ought not to be wholly dependent on tropical that comes in from Miami. We ought to be able to grow our own food, and we continue to encourage our people to eat local, to buy local. It is better, it is more organic, it has less chemicals in it, and we know what we're getting. When we buy from our farmer friend in Zion, in New River, wherever the farmers are over in Cades Bay, we know what we're getting. When you get a cantaloupe from my good friend Prasad Family Farm, you know what you're getting. You go and you pick up a cantaloupe that comes out of Miami, you have no idea where that cantaloupe has been. And so we encourage our people to continue to grow, and most of all, we encourage our local people to continue to buy local and to eat local. That, for me, is absolutely important, because we have to ensure that when our farmers produce, that our people are buying the produce. The same applies to meat. The same applies to fish. I had the pleasure of listening to the Honorable Alexis Jeffers last night. He joined the Honorable Prime Minister on a program in Sync. It's called Leadership Matters. And I was very impressed with the Honorable Alexis Jeffers laying out the agenda for agriculture. And one of the things he mentioned was poultry and the need for us to start to produce more chicken. Some of us are clearly producing eggs, but to produce chicken, because our import bill for chicken continues to be in the tens of millions of dollars. So all of these are potential industries for our young people to get involved with. And I'm very happy that we have someone with the energy of Alexis Jeffers bringing that same energy to the federal stage that he would have brought at the island level stage. Today was National Heroes Day. I want to wish, of course, all of our listeners, all of our people at home and abroad, a wonderful National Heroes Day. I trust and hope that you spent a good day. Whatever you chose to do, whether you're on the beach, you're with family, that you had a good day. I opted to spend my day with family. I had some commitments, and I had a thoroughly enjoying and relaxing day. It is unusual for me to relax, and so today I really enjoyed my day. And I want to thank God for giving me that opportunity to have a few moments for myself with my family. And certainly I trust and hope that all of you at home and abroad equally had a good day. Today, the Prime Minister would have announced the various individuals who are receiving national honors. I believe by my tally, there are 15 such individuals. Dr. Bernal Nisbet in medicine receives a Companion of Star of Merit. Miss Viola Jacobs in education, Companion of Star of Merit. Archdeacon J. Rudolph Smitten, Religious Service, Companion of Star of Merit. Miss Shirley Brown, Education, Mrs. Shirley Brown, Education, Companion of Star of Merit. Dr. Hazel Laws, National Service in a Crisis, Companion of Star of Merit. Dr. Cameron Wilkerson, National Service in a Crisis, Companion of Star of Merit. Mr. Abdias Samuel, National Service in a Crisis, Companion of Star of Merit. Then we have Miss Mary Nurse, Community Service, Medal of Honor. Miss Pearline Musunden, Education, Medal of Honor. Mr. Joseph Benders, Arts, Medal of Honor. Dr. A. Linton Liebert, Medicine, Medal of Honor. Miss Pamela Brooks, Nursing, Medal of Honor. Mr. Charles McMaster, Community Service, Medal of Honor. Mr. Brian Dyer, National Service in a Crisis, Medal of Honor. And Dr. Judy Nisbet, National Service in a Crisis, Medal of Honor. Now, for those young children out there who are in primary school, the Companion of Star of Merit is the highest award given by our country. That the only thing higher is National Hero, and the Medal of Honor is the second highest award. Now, of the 15, I would want to recognize especially the 5 divisions who were awarded. Archdeacon J. Rudolph Smitten for religious service, Companion of the Star of Merit. I would want to congratulate him, an incredibly gifted man of God who has really worked hard in the Anglican Church and labored in the vineyard, saving souls for all of his life. And if you are listening, Archdeacon Rudolph Smitten, I would want to congratulate you and your family for this significant award. I would also, of course, want to congratulate my fellow villager, Mrs. Shirley Brown. Education also for the Companion of Star of Merit. She got it for education. What can we say? We all know Mrs. Shirley Brown. We know the contribution that she has made to education. Both her and her husband of blessed memory were educators. And I would want to certainly convey to her our fondest wishes and warm congratulations on being recognized for the excellent work that she has done over the years. I would also want to recognize Dr. A. Linton Liebert, who receives the Medal of Honor for Medicine. Dr. Liebert, we know, was one of the leading surgeons, not only here in Nevis, but regionally. And certainly we think that this is an award that is well deserved. We are also aware that at one point he tried his hand in politics, and whilst that was not successful, he continued to make his contribution. And so to Dr. Linton Liebert, we say congratulations. And of course, Mr. Brian Dyer and Dr. Judy Nisbet, they too received the Medal of Honor. I would want to commend both. They have been leading our effort in relation to COVID-19 response here on the island of Nevis. Of course, Mr. Dyer leads our effort in terms of disaster preparedness all the time. He is the man that we go to when we are afflicted by storms or any other pestilence. And when we put the COVID task force together here on the island of Nevis and we ask Dr. Nisbet to lead it, I can say unreservedly that they have led with distinction. They and the rest of the task force have really made Nevis proud. It is a fact that we have not had a single COVID case in Nevis since April 7th, 2020. And that means that for over 5 months, notwithstanding that we have continued to test, Nevis has been fortunate enough not to have a single COVID case. We thank God, because we recognize that without God's blessing, without His grace and His protection, we would not have been where we are. But we also thank God for giving us people like Dr. Nisbet and Brian Dyer and the rest of the team, because through them we have been able to steer a path here which is clear, which doesn't have any confusion, where people understand what is being communicated to them, and I would want to commend them. I met with them just recently, and I did convey that to them privately, and I do so now publicly. I think the award is well deserved, and I wish all of the awardees all the very best. But of course, I have singled out those from Nevis to wish them continued favor, continued blessings. I pray and hope that they continue to serve in whatever capacity and continue to contribute to this beautiful island of Nevis and to the wider Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. But to all awardees, I say, all 10 from St. Kitts and all 5 from Nevis, I say, to God be the glory. We are delighted that you have been so recognized in such a public way for the excellent service that you have given. It is now 8:15 the hour of 8 o'clock. I'm going to open the phones shortly, but before I do, let me extend, because it's the first time that I'm on radio since I gather that the Nevis Reformation Party has, in an attempt to reform itself, elected or selected a new leader. And that leader, I'm told, is Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, a young woman. Well, a woman. I'm not so sure that she would take kindly to me describing her as young. A woman who I believe is very accomplished. She has a PhD. She has worked in the environment for a very long time. Lived abroad for most of her life, but she's now back home and has decided to throw her hat in the ring. Well, certainly in the ring for the leadership of NRP. We do not know yet if she will be in the ring for elective politics. I think that the decision is an interesting decision on a number of fronts. It is historical, and I believe that it's important that we recognize the history-making event that occurred within the NRP, that for the first time in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, a woman leads a political party for the first time. And I think that is something that we ought all to celebrate, because whenever something, as I said, it could only be one first, and this is the first time that a political party in the Federation has a woman at its helm. Well, maybe I ought to backtrack. It's not the first time that the political party has had a woman at its helm. I believe there was a political party some years ago with Myrna Walwyn leading that political party. So perhaps I ought to say it's the first time that a political party in good standing, that is an existing political party, that is one that has contested elections, and I believe NRP is 50 years old. So it is the oldest political party on the island of Nevis. So perhaps I ought to reshape that and say that this is the first time that a woman has led such a movement. And so we say congratulations to Dr. Janice Hodge. We wish her all the very best in her endeavors. The decision, however, is interesting on other fronts. It was interesting because unusually there was a contest for leader. I say unusually because most parties would seek to settle those matters before you get into your convention. But clearly there was no consensus, and therefore there had to be a contest and an election. And the two people who contested for leadership were the Honorable Cleone Stapleton Simmons, who is an elected representative of the people of the St. Thomas's Parish, and Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, who was unknown as a political candidate or political persona. Personally, I've known Janice for a very long time, and I've never heard or seen Janice involved in politics of any sort. And so when I initially heard that Janice was running for leadership of NRP, I thought perhaps somebody was a bit of a joke, somebody was making a little bit of a joke with me. But it turned out not to be a joke at all, and that she really came out of nowhere, because we were not accustomed to her involved in politics, to vie for, and now has succeeded in winning the leadership of the NRP. Then we have Cleone Simmons. Cleone would have come out of nowhere as well, because I never knew that she was involved in politics. But unlike Janice, Cleone would have contested a seat back in March of this year when Mr. Perry, the former leader of NRP, stepped aside from his seat in St. Thomas's Parish, and she would have contested that seat and won a by-election, and did so convincingly. We have congratulated her in the past on that. I have held a few discussions with Cleone. I met with her quite recently over the last few weeks, and frankly I have been impressed with her willingness to engage, her stated concern about the vitriol that has defined the NRP over the last decade or more, and the need to move away from that. And I thought that somebody like her really would have had the NRP moving in a more constructive direction, in the sense that they would have been more willing to engage in national development, as opposed to the constant diet of negativity, because that's all they do. They criticize and criticize and cuss and say nothing is happening. That's the standard NRP rhetoric over the last several years. And of course Mark Brantley, that is their diet, constant stream of Mark. So the point where I'm investigating with my lawyers if I can change my name to Ababaka Tafawa Balewa, because it is more difficult to pronounce. And that is really where we are. That has been NRP, complete nonsense. And so getting people there who one thought or thinks could have some sensible debate, I think that would be welcome. Because at the end of the day, notwithstanding that I'm leader of the CCM, and I am persuaded that the CCM will have a clean sweep in the next election, as we did in the one in June. We will hope certainly to have a clean sweep of all the available seats on Nevis. The reality is that the country needs everyone to contribute. And so there's a time for politics, there's a time for elections, and of course there's a time for governance. And when the bell is rung and the votes are cast and a government is announced, then it gets down to governance. Those who continue to bash and offer not one thought of any relevance or substance, that has been unhelpful. It is helpful to me because it helps the CCM to win. It has been unhelpful to the country because no ideas or no helpful or constructive discussion is coming from the opposition. And so here you had Cleone, who came up. She won a seat. She's the only person in NRP right now, the only person in NRP who can say that she's a member of parliament. Nobody else. Nobody else. She's a lawyer, she's a mother, and she threw her hat in the ring for leader. Well, she was defeated. What that means now, I quite don't know. And when I open the lines, if there are those out there who may want to have a word, it will be interesting. Because as a student of politics, I have never heard of a political party that wants to win investing in a leader who doesn't have a seat. And in this case, we don't know, could win a seat. We don't know if the person is even going to run. And that, I think, is interesting. It's a very interesting dynamic that you have a political leader who either can't win a seat, not running in a seat. It's like having a cricket team, but the captain is captaining from the pavilion. The captain is not on the field of play because the captain can't make the final 11. I can't talk too hard because fellows reminded me that when I used to play for Brownhill basketball team, I was a captain, and the fellows used to bench me regularly. But that's a different thing. That spoke to my lack of ability insofar as basketball was concerned, and that perhaps is a light moment. But back to more serious commentary. It really is an interesting phenomenon. Because if you have a captain who is not on the field of play, then how does that work? Where I'm concerned, I am the leader of the CCM. I'm currently the premier of Nevis. And I would like to have someone on the other side that I can dialogue with, that I can engage in discussions with. Now, I can't call the new leader to say, can we sit down? Because the new leader doesn't have any constituency. The new leader doesn't represent anybody. The only person that I can call is the Honorable Cleone Stapleton Simmons, because she represents the people of St. Thomas's Parish. So it's a very interesting dynamic, and the public will ultimately decide whether that's a dynamic that works for them, or whether they think that a different dynamic would be preferable. But certainly from my perspective, I like to be able to pick up the phone and speak leader to leader, have that discussion, because I know that that leader represents people. The question now is, who does the leader of the NRP represent? It's also very interesting. These questions never arose before, because you had, of course, the indisputable leader was the Honorable, Right Excellent, Right Honorable, our first national hero, Sir Simeon Daniel. And then we had the second leader thereafter was Joseph Parry. Both were elected members of Parliament, and both therefore represented people as well as represented the party. Remember, the party is only a handful of people inside a room voting for leader. The electorate, on the other hand, that's the masses now who select people to represent them in Parliament. So in the case of Dr. Daniel and the case of Mr. Parry, you had people who were elected who were leading the party. You then had Mr. Parry handing leadership to Elhansville Hector. He didn't last so very long, because in the 2017 election he lost his seat. And so he was gone, because the people of St. Paul's decided that they preferred a brand new approach, and they went with Spencer Brand. So he was gone, and so he too became a leader without a constituency. Now, mind you, you can't lead if you don't have followers, and followers can't be just the party faithful in a caucus or in a convention. That's maybe 20, 30, if you're lucky, 100 people. The question is, and it's a serious question about participatory democracy, can you have a leader who does not have a constituency, who is not even somebody who has been on a ballot paper? How does that work? This is not a new party we're talking about. This is not something that has just been created. This is the Nevis Reformation Party, the oldest political party on Nevis. So it's a very interesting dynamic that is at work here, and I would be interested to know what the political pundits out there think about it. What I also find interesting is that Mr. Joseph Parry would have demitted office as leader of the NRP after the 2017 election, where the CCM won 4 of the available 5 seats. I had taken over as leader, I believe it was in November, and I called the election, I think it was October, and I called the election in December. And we won 4 of the 5 seats, thanks to the good people of Nevis. Mr. Parry thereafter decided to call it a day, and he allowed the leadership to go to Mr. Hector. Mr. Hector became leader without a seat. Again, the only man I could have talked to was Parry. I can't talk to Hector. Hector doesn't represent anybody. And so I spoke to Mr. Parry when I had to speak as the parliamentary opposition. Mr. Parry then decided to call it quits altogether and left his seat and triggered a by-election that the Honourable Cleone Stapleton Simmons won. She came up against Keith Scarborough of the CCM and she won that seat and won it convincingly. So, I now have whatever discussions that I need to have with the Honourable Cleone Stapleton Simmons. She's the only person in NRP that represents people. She's the only person that has been elected by people. And so I have those conversations with her. So then, the Honourable Hector left here, well, not honourable anymore, because that's a title for persons who are elected or otherwise members of the Parliament, and he's not a member of the Parliament since 2017. But at the height of the start of the COVID pandemic, he opted to leave and go to the United States, where he spent much of the time after borders were closed. I believe he only got back in here after the elections were announced, and clearly wanted to be back here for political reasons. But I'm aware that Mr. Hector resigned from the NRP as leader, and that resignation came, and the NRP announced that they had an interim leader in Dr. Kelvin Daly. Well, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Because Dr. Daly came up against me, he lost badly. I don't know if he has a political future, but he, like Mr. Hector before him, had no constituency. None. Again, I can't talk to them. I must speak to the Honourable Cleone Stapleton Simmons. She's the only person in NRP who represents people who people have voted for and elected. So then we had Mr. Parry. Mr. Parry handed to Hector. Hector abdicated, handed to Daly. And then to our surprise at the convention, neither Hector nor Daly were on the ballot for leader. Instead we had Cleone, who's the only elected member, and Janice, who came from nowhere. But Janice has won. So it means that the NRP has had 4 leaders now in the last 2 years. Mr. Parry, Mr. Hector, Mr. Daly, and now Dr. Hodge. And 3 of those 4 have no constituency. I think people should think about that. 4 leaders in the past 2 years, 3 of the 4 don't have a constituency. So it's an interesting phenomenon that is developing here. Will that become the new normal, or is that an aberration? In St. Kitts, Dr. Timothy Harris leads the PLP. He is a parliamentarian. He is the man for number 7. The people there have voted for him. We have Mr. Sean Richards leads the PAM. He is the representative for number 5. The people of Sandy Point have voted for him. Dr. Denzel Douglas is the leader of Labour. He is the representative for number 6. The people of St. Paul's and its environs have voted for him. In Nevis we have the NRP and the CCM. The CCM is led by myself at this point in time. The good people of St. John's have voted for me over and over, and the good people of St. John's with St. Paul's number 9 have voted for me over and over. To them I am truly grateful. Then you have the NRP, led by Hector, led by Daly, led by Janice. None of them have a constituency. Nobody vote for them. It's an interesting phenomenon. It's either that is a new model, and therefore the way that other parties should perhaps be looking, where you get a good manager even though he can't make the team, or you start to look now and say that is an aberration and departs from the model. And I would invite people to look around the region. The only places that I have found leaders of opposition parties that are not in the parliament are places like Barbados and Grenada, where the government side won all the seats. So in Barbados, Prime Minister Mia Mottley won all the seats. So there were no seats available to anybody in opposition, and as a consequence, one recognized that the leader of the opposition party naturally can't be in the parliament. Grenada, similarly. Dr. Keith Mitchell won all the seats, so one again understood that. But most places, you really try. I think St. Kitts at one point, Lindsey Grant was leader of PAM, and Lindsey could not at that time win a seat. He tried the number 4 and failed, and what did PAM do? PAM went back and elected Sean Richards as leader because Sean was winning the seat in number 5. Because I believe PAM recognized that, listen, we need our leader to be in the parliament, to have a voice in the parliament, because that's where the people's business is done, not making noise on radio. A lot of people like to go on radio, yap, 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 yap. Plenty noise, like a chihuahua. But at the end of the day, where the business of people is done is in the parliament, in the corridors. You have to go into the halls of parliament to make the case on behalf of those who sent you. So, again, interesting. I am not criticizing, nor am I advocating. I am simply saying it is interesting, which is a neutral word, and it will be for you to determine whether or not what has been done makes any sense. Frankly, so far as I'm concerned, I have said to my team that whoever comes, we will handle. We have seen the back of Mr. Parry. We have seen the back of Mr. Hector. We have seen the back of Mr. Daly. And whoever may come now, we will have to deal with politically. It doesn't mean that we are not open to discussion and dialogue, because as I've said, in the governance phase, that is important. But in the context of the raw politics, I want to make it very clear that whosoever may come, the CCM party, that big blue machine, I have maximum confidence in our ability to deliver for the people of Nevis. Not on rhetoric or chatter, but on performance that they have seen, particularly in this difficult environment now of COVID-19. If you had some fool government, you would have been in trouble right now. But because you have a government of people who are prepared to listen, to be guided, to take decisions, sometimes even though they're difficult decisions, I believe that our island is surviving as well as it has been, despite the challenges, because of that. And so I am very clear in my own mind, and I've said to the team that if others are prepared to engage in histrionics, that's a matter for them. Another thing interesting, because I'm going to get into a little politics tonight, is that I hear the NRP now is looking for new friends in St. Kitts. Yes. And I'm aware that it appears that there are elements in the NRP that are reaching out. Even to Unity, it looks like they're reaching out. And I find it interesting. I see them having a big debate saying that they should publicly denounce Labour. That the Labour Party of Dr. Douglas, who has been their partner since 2010, at least when Patrice Nisbet joined Labour as Attorney General, that there should be a public distancing. I found in the last election it was interesting because while CCM campaigned as CCM, because we're very proud that we are CCM, when we campaigned as CCM, we said clearly to the people of Nevis that if you vote for us, we will join with PAM and PLP to form the next government, as we did in 2015. And the people responded to that. The NRP, on the other hand, was all over the place. They're not sure who they're going to join with, they don't know, they whatever. In the end, the people rejected them overwhelmingly. And Nevis made history by giving CCM all 3 seats the first time in the history of this political party that I'm privileged at this point to lead. So I understand the NRP now is in the market. You know, like when a man or woman has got divorced or were with somebody but is now newly single, and they're out there and they said, they're in the dance, they say, whatever song play, I gonna dance. Whatever man come, whatever woman come, I gonna dance. That seems to be the NRP. And I am not surprised, to be honest with you. Because the NRP would have first joined with PAM, I believe it was in 1980. Then, by 2010, they were in the bosoms of Labour. And so now, if they want to join with Unity, I'm not surprised. Not surprised. Because now they feel that Dr. Douglas can no longer help them. And they understand that they need help. But the irony of this conundrum now is if NRP is seeking to have conversations with some elements in unity because they're looking help, well, where does that leave CCM? And so I say, it doesn't appear to me that the NRP is thinking things through. Perhaps when you're desperate, you're just desperate. And so you're saying now, well, I was in bed with Pam, then I jump in bed with Labour and cuss Pam. When I was in bed with Labour, I cuss Timothy, and I cuss Sean, and I cuss Mark. But now, not now, work out for me, so let me jump out of bed with Labour now, cuss Labour, and jump in bed. Who they jumping in bed with? With Pam? With PLP? Or CCM? I don't know. I don't know. But of course the big blue tent is open for all. It's open for all. And if there are those out there who have some discomfort and want to find a place for them where they can be embraced, then the big blue tent is open. So in the immortal words of Joseph Parry, come over, my brother. Come over, my sister. That is what he said. Come over. Of course, he was talking to people in Sinkins, telling them, come Nevis to vote. I'm not in that. But I'm saying to those in NRP who might be disaffected, because everybody must get tired of losing, you know. It's a matter of record that since 1992, the NRP has managed one dubious election victory, and that was in 2006. One. 1992, how much years that till now? 28 years by my tally. 28 years. And in that time, you know, Nevis has elections every 2 years. So we had a number of elections during that time. And the NRP has managed one solitary and still dubious victory when they told that monstrous lie on Malcolm Gishard about 80 acres of land. That was the 80 acres election in 2006, plus the other bubble they engaged in. Since that, they have never tasted victory at the polls. No. They tried in 2011, again through electoral fraud, but the sheriff was here. Took them to court. The rest, as I say, is history. No foolishness where the sheriff is concerned, because the sheriff is about law and order. And if you get out of line where law is concerned, well, you will be corrected, because that's what sheriffs do. They enforce the law. So, NRP, 28 years. They've been in government for 6.5 out of 28 years. 5 years after 2006 and 18 null and void months. That is what they have had. So you ask yourself the question. They now find themselves in a position where if they hear that somebody over on Booby Island, a man land over on Booby Island, and he say he could help NRP, I guarantee you they're going to swim to Booby Island, because they have no ideas. They have no ability to help themselves. So now they're scrambling. Denounce Douglas, they say. Cuss Douglas, because Douglas making us lose. How Douglas could make you lose? How Douglas could make you lose? What is making you lose time after time is your inability to get candidates that people respect, and the constant diatribe and negativity, all this foolishness you're all talking on radio, cussing people every day. I hear them at a program the other night. Turn on this young lady Latoya Jones from Barnscott. What is Latoya's sin? Latoya is a young woman, an educated woman. She has come to the CCM. She has said, I want to serve. Latoya has been involved in cleanups in Jessop's, cleanup down on the beach. She went over to the St. Thomas's Primary School, her alma mater, you know, and assisted, because I'm told other former students were there in painting at the St. Thomas's Primary. A community effort. She has delivered pizzas during COVID-19 to frontline workers. She has delivered food baskets and brought some cheer to the elderly Valentine's Day, important days like Mother's Day. The young woman is a community person in Barnesgut, Jessops, Cotton Ground, and the wider St. Thomas's area. What is wrong with that? But two hardback man and one, I think they call him Tuvalu or something like that, they go on radio, abuse the young woman, say she this, she that, start to call out all kind of money she making. I had to put something on social media to say that young woman is not employed to the NIA and does not collect a single penny from the treasury of the people of Nevis. When she is employed, you will know, because I will say so. But currently she's not employed by the NIA. And all this sound and fury about the woman making all this money. Then they say she went over to St. Thomas's School to paint, and the principal of St. Thomas's School is involved in politics. Now that shocked me, ladies and gentlemen, because I have known the principal at St. Thomas's Primary for many years. And if you ask me now, if you pick up your phone and call in and ask me who she support, I will tell you I do not know. Because I've never known that woman to involve herself in politics. The only thing I've ever heard that lady speak about is education and taking care of the children who attend St. Thomas's Primary School. So why would the NRP attack the woman? Attack the lady. So she involved in politics. Why? Because Latoya Jones and others, it wasn't just her, went over there to do some painting. Well, my God, if you're vexed at Latoya Jones painting at St. Thomas's School, well, all you need to do is call the principal and say, well, them paint one block, let me paint another. If you're vexed that she's in Jessops with the community cleaning up, well, you go and clean Cotton Ground. If you're vexed she's down at Pinny's Beach, down at Jessops Bay cleaning up, well, you go down there by Paradise. The bottom line is that rather than criticizing people who are doing, whilst you're sitting on your rear end, talking, why not get up off your rear end and do something? Help the country. Oh, the island is dirty, the island is cleaning up. Well, get up and clean it up. And put up the pictures when you're cleaning it up so everybody can see on social media doing something good. You all notice that since the election come and gone, there are no further meals for the fellas in the square. No pictures of that anymore. There are no further bags of groceries and posing with the elderly while you give them 2 tin of sardine and a bag of rice. There's none of that anymore. Because all of that was gimmickry. It's not from the heart. It's not intended. It's not intended to be genuine. So all of a sudden, some of them who say they're atheists, don't believe in God, have no use for God, but they turn politician and they start to attend every church in St. John's. You think God is mocked? You think he doesn't know? So you engage in all of this tomfoolery and the constant cussing of people, and you expect that is going to endear you to anybody? Now, how is the principal of St. Thomas's School and her family to feel when they are being unfairly attacked? I mean, these are the same people. I hear, gentlemen, I gather he went 5th form twice to try and get 4 subjects to go 6th form. He come out of 6th form with a piece of paper say he was here. You understand? He came out of 6th form with, the only thing he come out of 6th form with a piece of paper say he was here. In other words, no subject. But he go on radio, and when a caller called in to challenge him, he said that caller is from Brownhill, and he used to be at the Brownhill School, the Ivor Walters Primary School, so he knows how to deal with retarded people. You hear me? People who in their life have accomplished nothing are attacking other people. And it bothers me because we waste so much time and energy going after each other, pushing this negativity, cussing and this vitriol. And you want to take people out of bread. You yourself can't afford biscuit. You can't help nobody. You have never helped anybody. But yet, you spend so much time trying to abuse people. That has been the NRP of the last 2 decades. I entered politics in 2006. And since I entered politics, it's been a constant stream of vitriol. And every election I bang them worse. You understand? Every election I bang them worse, because while they're cussing, I'm working. And while they're pretending that they have the interests of the people of Nevis at heart, I am demonstrating that I have the interests of the people of Nevis at heart. And I will stand up for St. John's. I will stand up for St. Paul's, my constituency, and I will stand up for the people of Nevis any day of the week and twice on Sunday. And that to me is what people want in a representative. That is what people want when they look to leadership. Not these wishy-washy people. You jump from PAM, you jump to Labour, now you want to jump back to PAM, you want to jump to PLP. My God, you may even want to jump to CCM. Well, as I say, CCM is a big tent. So if you're feeling froggy, just leap. And we'll have a net there to catch you. A big blue net, strong, you won't fall. That is what is going on in the country. So when they look around and keep attacking people, keep cussing people, and I really am looking carefully, because I want to know if this new leadership is going to bring anything new, or it will be the same old, because if it's the same old, then the same results. And as I said, I don't mind those results. They're useful for me and my team. But the country, and ultimately that is what I'm thinking about. Because as I say, I'm not going to be on this stage for much longer. And I would like to know that when I exit the political stage, that those who have come and are coming after me, that I leave a legacy and a platform that people work together. Because otherwise, you always will have a situation where only half the country is working. As a good preacher friend of mine likes to put it, it's like a wagon. Some people are pulling the wagon up the hill. Some people are pulling the wagon down the hill. And then you have those sitting on top of the wagon, neither pulling nor pushing. Question is, if the wagon is Nevis, how do we get the development that we need? And the only way we can get it is we fight during election season, and when that is over, you start to discuss and have ideas to move the country forward. I'm told, for example, I met with the Honorable Cleon Stapleton Simmons. She had some very pertinent concerns that she raised with me. I answered her truthfully and honestly. We had a very open dialogue. We took a photo at the end of that meeting. I'm told the photo went viral and people vexed. She should not have met with me. Well, she is a representative of the people of St. Thomas's. Well, who she should meet with? If she wants something done over in Cotton Ground, who's she going to talk to? Herself? Huh? Who's she going to talk to? So, these are the things that I think, the pettiness and the childishness. And big grown, fellas who nearly supposed to done collect Social Security. That is how they're behaving. Frothing at the mouth and going on, and just the constant lies. The attack. Why would you attack a young woman like Latoya Jones? What has she done? Other than say she wants to serve. Cleon has said she wants to serve. You ever heard me attack her? I'm not attacking her. If I compete politically, I compete on ideas. And I talk about commitment and who's better for the country and for the constituency. That is what I'm about. Dr. Hodge has come. I'm not going to attack her. You'll never hear me say a word against her. She has come. And whoever wants to come, let him come. It's as simple as that. We have to move away and understand. You know what I love about America? As much as Trump and Biden and Trump and Barack Obama and all of them go at each other politically, whenever America faces a crisis, we are all Americans. America goes to war, we are all Americans. We would do well to learn that lesson here in Nevis. Because in the midst of a COVID-19 pandemic, when we are struggling for our very lives and our livelihoods, you have people who could only go on radio to chat nonsense. nattering neighbors of extreme negativity. That's all. If I can borrow a phrase made famous by Van Samry, some sanctimonious vagabonds. That is all they engaged in. Telling lies, attacking people, dragging down people, trying to destroy people. That is all they spend their lives doing. But when are they going to spend some time saying, Nevis, this is how we would want you to develop. Nevis, this is what we suggest that you can do. So if I were the new leader of NRP and I'm allowed some unsolicited advice, I would ban all of them from radio. That's the first step. I would say to the youth, listen, you all go on radio instead. Talk about issues. Ban all of them old fogies that I have there, because not one of them could convince one mortal to vote for NRP. And the record shows that that is the case. So, we're going to see what happens. We assume that Cleone Simmons is going to run again in St. Thomas's if the new leader doesn't decide that she can't run. We will see what happens there. We don't know where the new leader is going to run, or if the new leader is going to run at all. It may be that she will manage the team from the pavilion. We don't know who's going to run in St. John's. We see on this new executive that Hensley Daniel, a man who taught me in school and has been repeatedly defeated at the polls, that he has come back. Now you ask yourself, what new idea Hensley have to offer the NRP at this stage? It's not a bash on Hensley. I like Hensley personally. But what does Hensley have to offer? Huh? More long spoon and deep bowl and boy. That is what, I mean, come on, we passed that. We gone past that. So the questions that are there, who's going to run in St. James? Who's going to run in St. Paul's? These are, to my mind, the questions. And maybe, who knows, elections come sometimes unexpectedly. We will see what happens as we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is On The Mark. The phones have lit up, and so let us go to the lines. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call if you have called and you weren't getting through because I was doing my usual soliloquy. You can call now. Let's go to the phones. Good evening, you're On The Mark. Hello? Hello, hello, hello.
Good evening, Michelle.
How are you, my dear? Good to hear your voice.
Well, I'm good so far.
Happy Heroes Day.
Life. Congratulations is going out to 5 awardees. And sympathy is going out to who loses their loved ones. I agree with you, Mark. Cleo Stapleton, she already has a seat, but I think she should have been the captain because she wins. Psalm 91 verse 1 and 2. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my fortress, and my God, in Him will I trust. May God continue to bless you, and have a good evening.
Thank you so much. I certainly appreciate that. Do we have anybody else who's holding? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is On The Mark, and we are listening to your calls. We are taking your calls. We are hopeful that people will use the opportunity to call in and to be a part of the show. It is an interesting night tonight, I think. We have some issues. It is National Heroes Day. We have congratulated those who have had national awards. Very proud of them. We see, of course, Rudolph Switten in religion. We see Mrs. Shirley Brown in education, Dr. Linton Liebert in medicine, and of course we have Brian Dyer and Dr. Judy Nisbet for service to the nation in a crisis, and we congratulate them all. We congratulate all the awardees, but certainly are very proud of these 5 divisions that they have made it onto the list. We also, of course, thank our national heroes, those past, and of course our only living national hero, the Right Excellent and Right Honorable Sir Kennedy Simmons. Thank them for the incredible foundation that they would have laid here for the people of Nevis and St. Kitts. We are particularly grateful to Dr. Simeon Daniel, the Right Excellent and Right Honorable Sir Simeon Daniel of Barnes Gut, who really transformed the island of Nevis and contributed so much to the wider federation as well, including taking us into independence. Lady Sheila, if you're listening, good night to you. Good night to the entire family of Dr. Daniel. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello? 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 Caller, are you there? Okay, this caller isn't there. Caller, please call back. Callers, when you call, please listen to your telephone, not to the computer, because there's a delay on the computer. So please, if you can listen to your telephone. Okay? This is VON Radio, the voice of Nevis, the Eastern Caribbean's only powerhouse. 860 on your AM dial, www.vonradio.com. And if you are listening or tuned in or watching via Facebook, this is Mark Brantley, your host, and this is On the Mark, straight talk across the Narrows. And we are looking at all kinds of issues this Wednesday evening. It is National Heroes Day. Now, tomorrow, let me just say this. Let me get my phone here so I can have the precise details. I will be tomorrow on a program at 8 a.m. I will be on a program called Island Tea. I confess I wasn't aware of this, but apparently it's a morning show with Kevin and Amali. And this will happen for this Independence Week tomorrow at 8 a.m. It will be on Win FM as a radio station on St. Kitts. So for those who would want to tune in, please do so. I also would want to advise, for those who follow me on Facebook, you can go to my Facebook page, that there will be a webinar on the 18th of September looking at opportunities to study in Morocco. And I am calling on our young people especially to look at it and be a part of that webinar. Morocco keeps offering scholarships to study, and they keep complaining that our people, particularly our young people, are not taking advantage of these opportunities. And so I believe that webinar, which has been organized by our ambassador in Morocco, in Rabat, His Excellency Ian Quealy, who is a national of St. Kitts and Nevis. He represents the OECS, and he is there. And this webinar is important because the uptake on these scholarships is not very good. I would ask parents and prospective college attendees to look carefully at these offers. Look at Morocco. I have been there. It's a most beautiful country. It's a modern country. It is in the north of Africa, very close to Spain. I think the northernmost part of Morocco is just a few miles from the Spanish coast. And so I would urge you to look carefully at these opportunities. For those of you who can take advantage of a scholarship, be it to Taiwan, to Mexico, to Morocco, wherever it may be, you come back here with your degree, you have no student loan to service. When you start to work, the money that you're working for is immediately your money. Compare that to your colleague who you sat next to in class, who had to go Development Bank or National Bank or whichever bank to borrow money to go and study. When they come back for the first 10 years or more that they're working, they're paying student loan. You using your money to buy land and car and build house, they have student loan to pay for 10 years before they could start to invest in anything. I say that to say that when you hear scholarships are available, investigate, see if it's right for you. All this nonsense I'm hearing, oh, Taiwan too far, Morocco too far, Australia too far. What name too far when it's free? What name too far? This notion that everybody must go to America, or go to England, or go to Canada. If you can afford it, fine, go. But if you cannot afford it, or your family cannot afford it, why put yourself in debt when you can get a free opportunity for higher education? Now if you go to a place like Taiwan, you come back with your degree, the same degree that you get in Canada or the UK, but you also come back knowing about a different culture and speaking Mandarin. These are some of the advantages that you get from studying in some of these countries. Morocco, they speak English, they speak French, they speak Arabic. Could you imagine you go there to study for 4 years, you come back, you're versed in their culture, you're versed in all these languages, you meet people from all over Africa and elsewhere, because Morocco is a very melting pot, a metropolis. I'm saying to our people, do not let other people limit your altitude. Investigate, look at these matters carefully. I believe that there are opportunities out there, and you know what they say, when opportunity knocks, open the door. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good night, Mr. Brantley.
Good night to you, brother.
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment on essentially your main topic for tonight, which is the new leadership in the NRP. I know you don't think much of my punditry, but I give it anyway. I listened to her maiden speech, or acceptance speech, whichever one you want to call it, and she sounded very different to the type of bombastic, fiery leaders we are accustomed to around here. She was very calm and collected, but she did hit all the points that we would expect of such a speech. The history and legacy of her party, and why it's a better alternative for divisions at this time. But I think despite the relaxed composure and the quiet delivery, I detected an underlying toughness and a resolve to meet the challenges at the national level and the party level, because I understand that the transition was not a seamless, it was not as seamless as it appeared on the surface. Apparently she has some fences to mend to unify a party in preparation for the whatever elections are coming. Generally, while we welcome the advent of more women in politics, at the same time, the old problems remain, and I guess it's left to be seen if the women will have more success at solving them than the men. I mean, too much progesterone may be just as bad as too much testosterone. I am surprised, though, that you consider this an aberration, the fact that a non-representative was selected for leadership. Didn't the the NRP make a commitment, formalize it, that NIA representatives or candidates will refrain from being candidates in the federal parliament? I think they did something like that, didn't they?
Well, there's been some chatter about that. That was a strategic move that they made to then try to put pressure on CCM to do likewise. Okay. So I don't think that there was anything to that. And based on the landscape that I'm seeing now, I think that we will soon see that abandoned. Because in small communities like ours, candidates are hard to find. So we'll wait and see.
Didn't Perry opt out of the contesting federal election?
Yes, he opted out, I believe, since back in 1995, after that debacle. I think he opted out. But the chatter from NRP about not running in both, that was a more recent thing. That was tied to the two-salary debate that they had, and all of that. Well, of course, the people have rejected them yet again. And so it will be left to be seen whether they continue down that road. Okay.
But in any case, though...
But before you go on, caller, I'm a little curious as to why you say that you were surprised that I said that this was an aberration. I mean, can you point to political parties, whether here or regionally or even internationally, where
I was looking at it in the local context. NRP had... I thought they had formalized that thing about separating the federal and the NIA.
But even if they have done so, and I don't know, but even if they have done so, I'm asking, why does that impact the question at hand, whether having somebody who's not in any parliament, does not even have a constituency that they're running in, should be leading?
You see, actually, it may not be as strange as you think. Some candidates for public office market themselves as non-politicians and say that is exactly what the country needs because they are tired of the machinations of career politicians. Okay?
I don't think that we are on the same page in terms of the point. The issue at hand is this. There's a political party. Let's use St. Kitts. The St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party.
Right.
It's led currently by Dr. Denzil Douglas,
yes,
who is also an elected representative for number 6. Okay?
Yes.
If tomorrow Dr. Douglas says, well, I am no longer interested in this leadership thing, there's a leadership battle, and Mr. Jeffrey Hanley steps up and he puts his hat in the ring. Here comes now Mr. Tom Jones. Nobody has ever heard of Tom Jones in politics. But Tom Jones comes and says, I want to contest as leader.
What about if you heard of a Drew?
Well, Drew at the very least has a constituency. He has contested elections. He has been involved in the electoral process.
Oh, so you're saying that they should, but that's the whole point. You're saying that they should have some kind of experience.
Well, not even so much experience. I'm just saying that the difficulty that arises is when you have a situation where you know, and look at it from my perspective. For example, I sit as leader of the CCM and Premier of Nevis. I want to engage in dialogue with NRP. Who am I going to talk to? Who am I supposed to talk to?
You talk to them both. I mean,
why talk to them both?
Why?
Who does the leader represent?
He has been selected by a party.
Yes.
A bona fide party.
Yes.
In Nevis. What's wrong in talking to? What's wrong in dialogue?
No, I'm not saying there's anything wrong in dialogue. I'm trying to have dialogue that is meaningful, because when I am speaking to somebody, I'm speaking as the representative of my constituents, but also of the people of Nevis in my current role as Premier.
Yeah, what I'm saying is you can speak to both. What's wrong in speaking to both?
Well, I'm not saying anything is wrong. I'm simply saying I would like to have a conversation that has some impact, where I can say, for example, what it is that your constituents need. What are the concerns of your constituents? How do you think that we can do better? How is a leader who has no constituency to answer those questions?
Constituency rep.
Yes.
What's the leader's name? Dr. Hodge, is it?
Yes.
Right. She is the representative of a national party, so she must have ideas, and she has the backing. She was elected at the party conference, so she must have some kind of universal in the sense of Nevis of NRP supporters, the electorate, who are voters. She must have some backing for her to have been elected. Okay, and you see, I think that really our politics can benefit from an infusion of fresh, untainted candidate. So I see nothing wrong with that. And you sounded suspiciously like you might have been trying to exploit the party election results. Well, I guess that's what politicians do. But at some point, people get tired of the machinations and the maneuvering, right?
Well, you're accusing me in CCM of trying to engage in machinations in NRP?
Wouldn't you love if Cleon came over to CCM?
Wouldn't I love that?
Huh?
Well, I don't know. Perhaps
you don't know.
Perhaps you're giving me.
You all but issued an open invitation.
You're giving me. My invitation is open. I've issued an invitation for you as well to come over to the Unity Partners in St. Kitts. Because I know you're gonna get tired. You're gonna get tired of losing too. It's only natural.
What have I lost?
Elections. We're talking in the context of politics.
Oh, but I haven't run on any in any election.
But you're not about running.
I'm just a pundit.
But your team ran.
Huh?
Your team ran.
My team?
Yes. You didn't have a team in the last election?
What team? I supported.
Yes.
The Labour Party.
Yes. So that was your team. That was who you supported.
Last election.
Yeah.
I thought they were best. Speaking of ideas, by the way, when you're attacking, well, not attacking, but saying that Henry Daniel, what could he come with? Let me point out that for the last decade or so, our economic and social policies are pretty much the same. So I don't know what new ideas will come. I mean, everything is based on the CBI. Things like the major policies like land for debt and so on have not been reversed. So there might be a paucity of ideas, but I don't think you should restrict that to Hensley Daniel at all. No,
it's just I comment on Hensley only because clearly Hensley has been there and there and there and there. You know, Hensley won in 2006. He lost in 2007. He lost in 2010. he was engaged in this court case in 2011. Eventually lost again in 2013.
So you don't think, and so you think that he's a spent force?
Well, but not I don't think. I think the people think he's a spent force. In politics, that's a good thing, you know. Politics is based on what the people think. It is the great leveler.
Yes, you're absolutely right in that, and you know, it's going to be interesting to see how NRP looks at the whole political landscape. You know, it seemed to me for sure that the fact that Dr. Hodge has some serious accomplishments under her belt, that you cannot underestimate her. And so, at the very least, it should be interesting to see how the politics develop.
Okay, all right.
And insofar you realize that our politics have changed so much, that the alliances that were formed, they somehow don't seem as stable as before. So don't knock NRP for looking at whatever possibilities there are to form alliances, because obviously no one party seems that it's going to dominate the political scene nationally, federally at least. Mm-hmm. Maybe you might dominate it in Nevis, but certainly federally, no one party seems like it's going to dominate the scene. So we can look for more alliances. I don't think they're good for the country, to be quite honest. You know, it's better, I think, if and I'm sure you, just like how you want a big mandate in Nevis. It's better if the country has a big mandate for one party, essentially, and I think that makes for more stability.
Okay.
But,
all right.
Okay.
We'll have to leave it there.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening. Sorry for holding. You're on the mark. Hello. Okay, we've lost that caller. Callers, please be patient with us. 869-469-1616. 869-469-1700. Let's go straight back to the phones. Good evening. You're on the mark.
Good night, Mr. Brantley. How are you?
Good evening to you. I'm well, thank you.
Oh, happy National Heroes Day to all of our citizens at home and abroad.
Yes.
Let me ask a question. Dr. Linton Liebert. Now, Dr. Liebert did some work with the Association of Persons with Disability. Is he the same one?
No, I think that's Dr. Grenville Liebert.
Oh, because I wanted to know. Well, anyway, congratulations to all of the awardees. And as the Prime Minister said, there's a hero in all of us, eh?
Yes.
And there are many people in communities doing work who deserve to be honored. And I want to encourage them, as I always say, keep doing what you're doing. You're not working for something. I tell people I never work or beg for anything. Now another thing, in relation to the scholarships, are they available to any citizen of the Federation or just Nevis?
No, man, it's a national thing. So we've been encouraging people to apply.
Are they advertised at the colleges, Sixth Form and CFBC?
We do so certainly in Nevis. I can't speak for St. Kitts, but I would assume we do so over there as well.
Another thing that crossed my mind, would it be too difficult for you to get scholarships for people to go to UE? Because I think we have to begin to look more at our, because the more scholarships you get abroad, the less people that go to UWI.
Well, UE, I believe, has various arrangements in place. Maybe not scholarships per se, but they do have.
The countries do. I went to UE on a CEDA scholarship.
Yes, well,
went on CEDA.
That's right. So you have Canadian in some of those countries. Yes, they offer some scholarships. But UE, I was saying, they have arrangements such as, the economic cost is paid by governments, etc. So UE is designed to be a bit more affordable. But people have options, and for me, it's to provide them with as many options as possible.
Even when I see all the people going Cuba and so, I say, boy, we undermining UE. It may not look so, but to me it does, eh? You know, and so I think maybe when you're out there looking scholarships, put the idea out. Put the idea out, because even sometimes the travel costs to get the people there, and so it might not be too expensive for them to sponsor people to go to UE. Now another thing, this one with the NRP, I think they are depending on name recognition. Have that cross your mind?
When you say name recognition, what do you mean?
She is Mr. Daniel's daughter. So I think the party is depending on name recognition to attract people to her, and eventually, because I mean, as you said, I have seen that situation here in St. Kitts too. Where elected people are not on the executive.
But in your opinion, does that make sense to you?
My opinion?
Yes.
But I've never heard about, to tell you the truth, maybe because I'm not an individual.
No, I'm asking not about her. I don't want to individualize.
In the debates or the discussion or anything before.
No, I'm asking a different question. In terms of a non-elected person acting in the role as leader, I'm asking what do you think about that?
It's unusual. It is unusual, you know. I think I remember, I'm not too sure if it's in Dominica, the leader of the opposition was outside the house.
In Dominica?
I think so. One of those win with island countries, because he did not win the seat.
Oh, no. The guy, yes, what had happened is I believe the guy,
leader.
Linton, yes. But Linton...
I wasn't Linton, it was before Linton time.
No, the guy before Linton was, he was in the house.
Linton don't have a seat either, right?
No, Linton does not. I don't.
Right, and he's the party leader.
Yes.
But another, you see, so those things are possible. But I think if you want to really give support to the person elected, I was surprised that the young lady, Mrs. Simmons, was not the party leader. But I thought all the old ones were going back. I mean, the amount of noise they make, and they, you know. But then I said it speaks well to the vision, because sometimes in our parties and things we get stuck. We get stuck with candidates. We get stuck with leaders. So I would give them some credit in trying to make a change, because you notice that all of them sweep out. You know, I don't know what the women could do, but I must congratulate the females. I do congratulate them for stepping up, because for too long we have our females stepping back and content to stay behind. So at least I give them some credit. What say you?
Well, of course. I mean, I give anybody credit who gets into the arena. It's not an easy thing, and we know that women have been underrepresented. So absolutely.
Yeah, but the 1 it is what? I counted 4 or 5 on the executive?
Women?
Yeah, on the NRP executive.
Okay, well, I don't know how many there are, but I'm simply saying that I agree, of course, that more women need to be involved in the process. More youth need to be involved with the process. So I welcome any demographic that is not adequately represented to get involved.
I mean, we already signed the convention, so we got to, and in your party, you got to work on it too.
Oh yes, we are working on it already. I can assure you that
because I mean, until you have women have a good say, not in the background, and I am calling on the women them to step up. They make the party stronger. So well, it will be interesting. You got what, 2 more years for election?
Something like that, or less.
2022.
Or less, yes.
Yes. So just anyway, don't underestimate anybody, eh?
Well, of course not.
Sometimes that's a mistake we make, eh?
Yes, and that will not happen, I can assure you. We will continue to do the work.
Don't say, well, she ain't got nothing and
yeah.
You have some people in the back.
Yes.
I was surprised to hear the interim one carrying on like that on the Sunday. I actually thought he was the leader. And then I said, if that is the way that he intends to carry on, they're going to lose again.
As I said,
people are tired of this abuse and personal abuse that goes on in our politics.
Well, I don't know, but as I said, if that continues, then I don't see a different result.
Yeah, well,
All right.
I hope he learned his lesson.
All right. So thank you very much. Okay.
May God bless
All right.
all
You
the
too.
divisions and petitions, and God bless the Federation. Happy Independence to everybody.
All right. God bless you too. And happy Independence to you and happy Heroes Day. Let's go back to the phones. It's 20 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock. Good evening. You're on the mark.
Good night to the Honorable Mark Martin.
Yes. Good night to you.
I want to wish the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis happy Heroes Day today, and a happy independent, blessed independent when it comes, because we reach as two small nations together, working as one. And I believe that is the way that any federation with two small islands could come together as one, supposed to work. Mark Brantley, I so agree with you, with the leader of the NRP. I mean, if you don't need sometimes with Sean, I think I'm going to time too. Because I think Sean was the elected leader, elected in Parliament, and Mr. Grant elected in this thing for the leader of the party. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that you don't win your seat. I believe that you, as the one who done there, you understand? You just come. Nobody here not about you. The girl win the election, just win the election, can mean things, win the election here, when she see it. And I believe that this Mr. Man was supposed to be the leader of the party. But I don't know, maybe they're looking top because they pick the Manuel data. You can make the party popular as the leader. But I believe that the young lady Simon should have been the leader of the party because she wins the seat. And I believe, take it from there, it'll give more encouragement, more boost to the people of the neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that she could have been a good leader because she's a young person. And I believe that is a good start for her as when she see it and she will be the one in Parliament to debate whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So going forward, I would like to see things go better than that, man, because he ain't looking good at all. We just win to see it. And then you're going to get convention or whatever, and you're going to elect this lady now who just come, who nobody hear nothing about in politics, and get the leader of the party. I don't think that is good. You're right, Mark. Anyway, blessed.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you for your views. Of course, at the end of the day, the NRP will do what the NRP wants to do. They are a mature party. They're older than CCM, so they should know what they're doing. It's just an interesting new type of approach because, as I said, they've done it now consistently. So we'll see whether or not this works. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello? Hello?
Yes, couldn't believe that I got in.
Well, you're in.
Mr. Brantley, good night.
Yes, good night to you.
First thing I should say, wish everybody happy National Heroes Day, and I congratulate all those who were the recipients of awards. Mr. Brantley,
Yes.
the NRP was set up by the late Simeon Daniel, right?
Yes, it was.
But the people rejected him after a while and voted for CCM and the Van Zamri.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if that wasn't the case, I mean, things are shift so funny sometimes. If that was not the case, I would have said she would have come with the influence of her father and could have been able to run up the stairs quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been following politics a long time. There was a president in Argentina named Juan Perón.
Yes, I know. Mm-hmm.
Was very popular, and he was removed. But then his second wife went back there, and on his account, she won the presidential election.
Mm-hmm.
But she never found favor with the armed forces. Sadly, they overthrew.
Yes.
Okay, I just say now that to say there are many things that could happen. So, there's nothing set in stone. But with that overwhelming majority vote that the people of Nevis have given to the CCM, and in fact, your support, even without the overseas voters, have done so well. sometimes people tend to forget. But I've done so well. And I'm against overseas waters. I'm not for it. You don't be speaking. I'm not for it.
Okay.
But I believe something could be done, like an association set up for our nationals abroad that could tap into to exchange information, etc., etc. Now, we have opportunities for investment and so forth. But before I go, I would like to say that the person whom Mrs. Henry was trying to refer to, I think, is Alan Chastity. He became leader of the party without being elected. But he was an appointed minister of tourism prior to him
I see.
getting into the parliament.
Okay. So he was in the parliament as an appointed member?
He was, yes, as an appointed member, not elected.
Okay, got you.
But he seemed to be, from the time I get to know about him, he seemed to have been, and still is, a very popular figure. And the opposition party crossing him, and amongst other things, because his ethnicity is from somewhere I don't know. But lastly, Mr. McMahon has a way to say, okay, that's his opinion, that he need a strong party to control the affairs. But who is more prosperous than Germany? And Germany, as far as I know, from way back when, since after the Second World War, they've been carrying coalition government.
Israel as well.
Mostly the Christian and Social Democrats.
Yeah.
Up to this day, they have coalition. So Germany is a very sophisticated place, whether we like to hear it or not. Highly intelligent people, full of science and technology, etc., etc. And is a world leader in terms of economics. Europe's biggest economy. But I think we need to know before we talk.
Israel, I think, is another example of coalition governments over the years.
Israel, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
So you do have them.
If the people so desire that they're going to vote for an alliance, I believe alliance will work very well because everybody keeping an eye on each other.
Well, I think so. That is a critical point you make. In a democracy where elections are free and fair, let the people decide.
Right.
So whatever our personal opinions may be, once the people have spoken, their voice is the voice of God. So
exactly.
They have said that in St. Kitts Nevis they prefer a unity government.
And they've been saying so more and more. Because look at the last results from the last election.
Yes, absolutely.
So there is a consolidation. It may reach a peak. It may reach a peak one day. And it changes because as different generations come on the scene, they have different ways of thinking. So we have to be mindful of that. So anyway, I'm not no politician, nothing at all. I'm just an ordinary citizen. Just tune into facts. I like to discuss the facts. So Mr. Brantley, you keep your head on. I know you're a wise guy. Wise guy for your age.
What do you mean for my age? I'm an old guy now, man.
No, man, you're not old, tall. And don't let nobody pump you up to tell you no foolishness to get you to slip one day. None of us is perfect. You all made mistakes. Even the great King David and Solomon made mistakes. That's recorded in the Bible.
Absolutely.
So anyway.
Thank you, brother.
Mr. Brantley, you have a good night.
Thank you.
And take good care.
Good, and thanks for the call.
All right, sir.
Okay, appreciate it. It is 9:30. We have half an hour left. We're taking your calls on 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Those are your calls if you want to be, the numbers to call if you want to be a part of this show. This is Mark Brantley, and this is On the Mark. If you're tuned in, then it must mean that you're listening to the Eastern Caribbean's only powerhouse, VON, the voice of Nevis, www.vonradio.com or 860 on your AM dial. This show is rebroadcast every Thursday at 1 p.m. So if you didn't get it on Wednesday, you can get it on Thursday. And some people say it's so nice they listen twice. But it's a show that has been around for many, many years. It has longevity. It has good content. It has the support of the people as a platform to engage in meaningful dialogue and debate. And as I like to say on this show, we take all shades of public opinion. Tonight we're discussing various things. We're talking, of course, about our National Heroes, on National Heroes Day. We're also, of course, talking about the NRP and their recent decision to elect or select someone as their leader who does not have a constituency and who is not in the parliament and who has not announced even a candidacy for elections, and whether or not that represents the new normal. But we have recognized that the NRP now has, as a woman leader, the first major political party in the country with a woman heading it. And I think that is historic, and that also has to be applauded. Let's go back to the phones and take some calls. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Yes, Mr. Brantley. Just a quick point. I too believe in democracy, totally. So if the people wishes to, whoever the people wishes to elect, whatever coalitions they wish to elect, in the final analysis, I can live with that. Okay? It's just that, is it a luxury that a small country like ours can afford? You yourself made the point just tonight that in this small country, you can't, you have a difficulty in finding candidates, really good candidates. Okay? But at the same time, it's almost contradictory. You're basically suggesting that, well, it's good that all three on Nevis go to the federal parliament, and now you're looking for all five in the NIA. Okay? There's a bit of a contradiction there, but...
Why is there a contradiction? I'm not understanding the contradiction.
Well, on one hand, you're supporting the coalitions, okay, in forming a government, but on the other hand, you're looking for an absolute majority, an overwhelming mandate.
But I don't see a contradiction. What I'm saying is that as a party, we clearly go out and we contend. We make the case, and we are hoping that we'll be able to win all the seats. I think that's what parties do. However, the issue of whether a coalition governs or a single party, as you advocate, I have said, and I believe my view is supported in terms of the tenets of democracy, to allow the people to make that determination, as they have done now in the past 2 election cycles in St. Kitts and Nevis in 2015 and again in 2020.
I understand that, and like I said, I have no problem with what people decide. But we, in a country like ours, and this is what I'm saying, comparing us to places like Germany and Israel, that's a non-starter, right? Their system is totally different in that their government, like Italy as well, they can have a new government every couple months. It does not affect the overall running of the country because of the industry plays such a big part. The private sector plays such a big part in the overall running of the country, the operation of the country. So the consequences in a place like Germany or Israel, with form and where governments are formed and governments fall at the drop of a hat, the consequences are different to a place like here, where government has such a big impact on our societies. The biggest employer, it handles the most resources of the country and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's a totally different. Okay.
Well, I take the point, and comparisons are not always perfect, but I understand the point you're making. You have your preference. At the end of the day, the people decide. Yeah.
All
right. Good. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening. You're on the mark. Hello.
Yeah. When I take a Mark.
Yes.
Mark. That last holiday, right? When the unity formed, he was saying the unity is a farce. They ain't going to be successful because you all only want unity to come together to get down Douglas. You understand? And this unity would not last the 5 years when they get in 2015. All kind of negative things they were talking about this unity. You understand? But I believe he had a problem with unity in St. Kitts because he don't got no confidence in his own people them, as far as I concerned. Because you were telling that the people them, the kind of people them. What kind of people them? We got lawyers, we got lawyers, we got economics, we got teachers, we got everybody a part of the unity. So and you all from the Federation of Think It Nevis, you all born here, you all ain't come here and got a passport to the next country. So I do not know that you all can run the country under unity banner as elected gentlemen who elected in the election. He got a big problem with unity as far as they're concerned. And I believe that is the only way any little small country could go. Because the bitter party politics, one set of party, when they was there, they undermine Nevis, the Nevis, all kind of things. All kind of things Nevis get. Did not get in. They bounce the trip, they do all kind of things, and you never hear the gentleman come on and talk nothing about these things. But a unity government come and do it so much for the federation and the whole entire country, and is a problem, especially it's under this point of the COVID-19 right now. Mark, you keep on your head. Do not let nobody twist you and turn you. You're an educated man, and you see where unity can, how far unity can go to the Federation of Think It Nevis for next term, and I endorse that. And I believe the people of the Federation endorse unity. You have a wonderful night again, Brother Mark. God bless.
All right, good. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll continue to take your calls. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello? Okay, we've lost that caller. Okay, callers, please call back in. Let's try this one. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Brantley.
Yes, go ahead.
Did you listen to Inside the News Saturday?
No, I did not.
Oh, you missed it, because Mr. Everson...
Oh, no. I caught a part of it. Forgive me. Because I caught a part of it where Dr. Hull was making the case for a compensation-based, a performance-based compensation system. And I realized that somebody else there sought to attack him and get quite personal, which I thought was unfortunate.
What I'm coming to.
Yes.
You see, because they saw him more as representing the OAS.
The OAS?
When I think he should have been introduced as an economist. Because they were raising all sorts of questions as to his ability to analyze the data and the information.
Dr. Everson Hall was the first PhD in economics from Howard University.
I don't think it was said, because, I mean, one man saying, you know who you're talking to, you know, as if you come from a small island, you know who you're talking to.
Well, who are these people? Because I thought that person, I thought, was very offensive. And I didn't see the need on a panel of that caliber for anybody to attack anybody like that. I was very surprised.
I was disappointed.
Who was the person, do you know?
I think it's one from Trinidad and one from Dominica, and he kept saying, oh, you know, our forests are protected, so ours are reserved, you know, by law. You know, so what I think, though, is that, to me, Dr. Hull was not given enough information, because the question they were asking, all he had to do was to refer them to the Human Development Index. Because I think they were offended at saying its statistics were so good. Because if you notice, whenever anything come up and you say, well, St. Kitts and Nevis doing this and doing that, it creates some conflict. And I felt that the one who was attacking Mr. Hull should have known that a lot of the policies here are regional policies. There's the OECS education policy. You have environmental, some are CARICOM, you know, and so he kept pressing Mr. Hull. Well, you're talking about St. Kitts and Nevis, what about the other countries? So I said, to me, the people weren't properly prepared, but it was a good thing, except for that, eh? So, but I was really disappointed. So I think maybe, because, you know, there is some kind of thing between the OAS and the Caribbean countries, because the U.S., you know, trying to manipulate the OAS to get them to go into Cuba, and no self-respecting Caribbean person going to support that, and the gentleman himself, the head of OAS, disrespecting our people. So I think the person was transferring his feelings about the OAS onto Mr. Hull. You don't think that was it?
Well, I really don't know. I didn't get enough of the program. I really came in on the back end when
Yeah. No,
went after
they
Dr.
keep saying, oh, you represent, you're talking about the OS, why about Donny and whatnot and whatnot. So I said, well, maybe he should have been introduced as an economist rather than the OAS. Well, anyway, all I am begging you as our Minister of Foreign Affairs, please do not allow the U.S. to influence you, to side with them, to invade or whatever Venezuela. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. It is 20 minutes to the hour of 10 o'clock. We're taking your calls on the mark. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call if you want to be a part of this show. We're having a good show tonight. We're having various discussions on a number of matters. And, of course, you're invited to call and have your voice heard and be a part of the show. We have about maybe 19 or so minutes left. And so you are clearly invited to call in and share your views and opinions on this matter. Just a reminder that at 8 a.m. Tomorrow, you can join me. I will be on a program on a radio station on St. Kitts called WinFM, and that program is called Island Tea. It's a radio program with two young people, Kevin and Amali, and they will be discussing, of course, the various issues concerning our independence and our road to independence. Today is National Heroes Day, and certainly we have celebrated our national heroes. We have announced awards to persons for national service, and certainly we would hope that all of our heroes, those sung and unsung, that all of our heroes would be recognized. You know, I commented to my wife just the other day that it was early morning, I think perhaps around 5 a.m., and we heard the trucks from solid waste in our neighborhood, and I said, you know, here are these persons who toil when others are still sleeping to ensure that our island remains clean. They too are heroes. The people who are on the front line during COVID-19, they too are heroes. And so we have so many, our nurses, our teachers, our doctors, who contribute so significantly to our national development, and I think all our heroes, our fathers who are doing the role that they should play in the homes, our mothers who are raising children, our single mothers who are raising children on their own, making sure that there's food on the table, children do their homework, the children go to school. All of these are heroes. And so I welcome Heroes Day because I think it gives us that opportunity to recognize our national heroes, and they of course are in the pantheon of greats, but also to look to those people who are around us who are heroic every day and who are doing important work every day to ensure that St. Kitts and Nevis is the nation that we all want. And so certainly we are grateful to them, and we continue to celebrate. And that is what I think we ought to be about, lifting up each other, helping each other. I say it all the time that we must be our brother's keeper and our sister's helper. It makes no sense for your belly to be full and your neighbor is hungry. Let us work together. Let us help each other. Let us lift up each other. I think that that is important. Ladies and gentlemen, we have discussed many things. The phones are ringing again, so let me go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, you're on the mark. Go ahead.
Good evening, the General.
Good evening to you.
And how are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you.
A long time I hear your voice, man.
Oh, I just catching the voice now. How are you, man? You good?
Eh?
How are you? How's the family?
Family okay.
All right, good, man. Good.
Today is a part of me too.
Why? What happened
I'm a
today?
hero too.
Today's your birthday?
No, the 19th.
The 19th. Oh, you're born on Independence Day.
Oh yeah.
Well, happy birthday when it comes, sir. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Happy birthday when it comes.
Yeah.
All right?
Thank you.
Okay. Please give the missus my regards.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, brother. God bless.
Okay, take it easy.
Okay, good. All right, quarter to the hour of 10 o'clock. We have 15 minutes to take some more calls. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hi, Mark. Good evening.
Good evening to you, brother.
And how are you doing?
I am well, thank you.
Okay, first of all, I want to congratulate our proud nation celebrating another very important day for the ones who would have paved the way, made their tremendous contribution in the past, and the citizens now are reaping the benefits, and we reward them, we commend them, we salute them, and we recognize them. I want to wish each and every one and our proud nation on Saturday also happy Independence Day. And many persons still do not understand that because it's fallen on a Saturday, they're thinking that the holiday is going to be on a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
But just for them to know that we celebrate the holiday on Saturday, and it will not be on Monday. Only if it falls on a Sunday, then we'll celebrate on a Monday.
Right. Okay.
I want to say, which you would have touched, and very important issues in your excellent introduction, and in reference to your opponents, in Nevis. I really wouldn't really get into that. My main reason for calling in, which are two very important topics, not only in the Federation, throughout the world, which is the hurricane season and Mr. COVID, Badman COVID. And I just want to say that so far we have been blessed to experience 108 days so far in the hurricane season, and just about 75 more days for the hurricane season in 2020. And we know we are in the peak, and so far the record looking very good, which we haven't experienced anything major, and we are very, very grateful, which we owe the Master a tremendous amount of gratitude for continue to pour his blessings in terms of the water, but keeping the storm so it would not cause any harm. I want to touch on something that is vital and important, Mark, because people have to continue to be honest and not dishonest. I am not aware of any representative or members or candidates of the Labour Party who would have given any back to school contribution in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I am aware, I think some of them did it in 2019. We had no crisis in 2019, but it was done. During the corona, before the election, packages and all kind of things were done. Now, where it is more a need to give support in 2020, because the election already gone and none is pending in September or October or shortly coming up, they choose not to support the children or their parents. I mean, who these people think that they can fool? I mean, look at the leader. Look at the leader of the opposition, which I have a lot of things really, which I will perhaps deal with another time, because in terms of the passport issue, I am not aware that he would have had any back to school for all the years being the Prime Minister, being the representative. I am not aware of anything, any major event that he would have held to give back to number 6. Imagine you had a candidate, didn't win his seat, and he gave out to hundreds of people in number 6. And you had many other candidates down here who would have done that.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to touch quickly, Mark, because our borders will be opened shortly, which is very vital to the economy, to our country, and to our health, our people. I am asking for our citizens to be responsible in their dealings, in their actions, because there are people who do not understand. There are some of them who maybe choose not to do things because it is not the government that they support, not realizing that this has nothing to do with the government. Corona do not support no party in St. Kitts and Nevis. Corona have taken many lives, over 6 million throughout the world, over 190 something thousand in America, and they budgeted that by the end of 2020 it will be over 400,000 in America. That is where we get over 70% of our tourism, about 10% from Canada, 15% from England. So it's important, as I said before, for America to get its house in order. That is something also that I want to expound on another time. So I will just leave and said, our citizens need to be responsible, need to obey the laws of our land. No one has the right to do wrong. No one has the right to break the law. And if the penalty of $500 is given to anyone, it is not given to somebody who would have obeyed the law. It would be given to someone who refused to obey the law. And no one is above the law, and no one is above the Constitution. Let me just give someone else a chance, but just to ask the Master to bless you, this program, and our proud nation, the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, that I dearly love to my heart.
Thank you,
take care.
Thank you, brother. Well said, and God bless you as well. We have about 8 minutes left, ladies and gentlemen, on the show. You can get in still. We have some time to take some calls. 869-469-1616 or 869-469-1700. This is On the Mark with your host, Mark Brantley. Straight talk across the Narrows. And tonight we've had a discussion. I'm happy this caller touched on the opening of the borders, because that was another topic that I wanted to address. But the show has gone by. We've had quite a bit of talk and discussion on a number of different matters. But certainly the borders we're looking to have reopened sometime in October. No date set yet, but I believe that both islands have been working hard towards having an reopening and having a safe reopening. We are already hearing about a bubble that is being proposed at the CARICOM level, where some countries will allow you to come if you are from that bubble without testing and without quarantine. So certain things are happening, and we look forward certainly to moving past this wretched period of COVID-19 and getting some sense of normalcy back to our country. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you are on the mark.
Yes, Mr. Brantley,
yes?
Just for your information, the panelists were Atherton Martin from Dominica. He was, I think, a minister of government before, in charge of forestry, and Richardson Franklin from Trinidad. And I think what really happened is that Dr. Hull and I think it was Richardson Franklin got into a kind of a pissing contest, so to speak. I think what happened is Mr. Wilkin and Mr. Hull came over a bit abrasive in terms of being a bit jingoistic and, kind of boasting. I think they lacked your diplomatic skills, so to speak. And I think that irked the other presenters in the region. And so they had this.
But what were they boasting about? That's what I'm not understanding. What were they talking about?
Macroeconomic figures, tourism figures, and those.
So basically, they were saying St. Kitts Nevis is doing well.
They were making a comparison with the region, and I think that is what irked them. They basically were saying that, listen, those you can quote those kinds of things, but some of them were discredited indicators. Basically, for instance, you're quoting GDP per capita or per capita income. Well, that doesn't mean that it filters down through the population. Those kinds of things.
Right.
And I think there was an attempt by Mr. Backus to regionalize the discussion. And, so I don't think Mr. Wilkin and Mr. Hull was having any of that, and that is what created the back and forth.
Well, listen, I thought the bit that I heard was
Mr.
one.
Hull concentrated a bit, as Mrs. Henry said, on the appraisal and reward systems of government.
Yes.
Okay?
And what do you feel about that?
Well, basically, that too was a point of contention because they were basically saying that, well, there's the move by government afoot to change that, basically give more reward for more work, incentivize things more. And that's where the personal stuff came in because the panelists, the regional panelists felt that, well, that was a U.S. Corporate type of thing, this incentivizing of work, as opposed to they were far more collaborative and they were asking for much more dialogue and consensus building and a different way to motivate people. So that is what I think the clash there caused the problem.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I believe strongly that the proposal Dr. Hull is making about incentive, performance-based incentives, I think that there is merit in that. I think that when people hit targets, it's a standard across the globe. In the public service, for example, you have a double salary. Whether somebody is a good worker, whether they come to work on time, whether they lax and they don't come to work, they're out. I mean, running bus and doing all kind of thing when they should be at work. They have the government vehicles up and down the place liming. Once a double salary is announced, everybody, the good, the bad, and the ugly, get the double salary. And I think that point that people like Dr. Hull are making is, listen, rather than saying everybody who's in this scale get the same money, or even if you say that, you provide an incentive-based program where you say, hey, if you hit certain targets, if for customer service, for whatever the targets may be, that within that matrix you are a valuable contribution, you're making a valuable contribution, and you are a valuable contributor to whatever that department of government is doing, then you should be rewarded. And he has been involved with compensation and looking at compensation schemes in the United States at the highest level. So I think he has a good understanding of how that works. And the idea appeals to me because I feel that people do put in more if they are incentivized, and one incentive is, hey, if I meet this target, I am likely to get a reward for meeting that target. If I know I'm going to get a double salary, whether I come to work or not, whether I come on time or not, whether I take sick days or not, whether I go off in the middle of the day go drink rum or not, then I don't have any incentive. And that can now provide a disincentive to hard workers, because a lot of people who are conscientious and work hard, they say, well, it's not fair to me, because here's this partner over here who never come to work and he getting the same money like me. So I think that there's something to be said. The other people were suggesting that you should love what you do, and it's not about money but loving what you do. And while that sounds great, I don't think that's human nature. People do love what they do, but people also want to be compensated for what they do. And that is understandable because everybody has bills to pay and everybody wants an opportunity to live a better life. And so I think that what Dr. Hull is saying makes a lot of sense. I think there's something there that is worth exploring. The private sector has done it for years. And as a consequence, the private sector has established more efficiency, better focus on results than sometimes the public sector, because the public sector is a place where you don't get it done Friday, you come back Monday. And if you don't get it done for the rest of the week, man, next week. Right? And next week becomes next month. That has been the sort of laissez-faire approach to doing business. And that is why, in part, we continue to rank so low on the ease of doing business rankings that are published annually. So I think there's good merit there. And Dr. Hull, the first economist ever from the capstone Howard University in the United States, for a man from Bart Village in Nevis, I say it all the time, to go to America and become the first PhD from Howard University speaks to the strength and resilience of the Nevisian people, and by extension, the strength and resilience of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. The band is striking up. I hear it coming. I hear it coming. it means that we are at the end of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I would want to thank you all for being a part of this show. This Heroes Day, a special show that we had this evening. I want to again thank all of our national heroes, posthumously for those that have passed, and Dr. the Right Excellent and Right Honorable Sir Kennedy Simmons, who's still with us, for the foundation that they've built. We are here today. We stand on the rock that they have built. Thank them and thank Jehovah God for giving them to us and for them to have played the role that they played. Dr. Simeon Daniel was like a father to me, my mentor, and I knew him well, and he was the epitome of dignity. And so, to Lady Sheila, to the entire family, good night to you. Thank you for sharing Dr. Daniel with us, and thank him posthumously for the amazing service that he's given to the people of Nevis and the wider Federation. That's our show tonight. Thank you. Join me tomorrow, 8 a.m. on Win FM for Island Tea. I'll have a discussion there. This show will be broadcast tomorrow at 1 p.m. right here on Von Radio, the Eastern Caribbean's only powerhouse. 8:60 a.m. www.vonradio.com. Good night and God bless you.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the